This card is worth $3,500. How many copies sold last week? 0. The week before that? Also 0. That number on the screen is not a value. It is a listing standing in an empty room. And once you see how it got that high with nobody buying, you will never read a market price the same way again. Start with the thing nobody explains. The price you see on a card is the lowest copy currently for sale, or the last one that sold. It is not proof that a buyer paid it today. On a card that trades constantly, that distinction does not matter. Hundreds of copies change hands, so the number is tested every single day. On a card that does not trade, one seller is the price. Nobody has to agree with them. Nobody has to show up at all. Same number on the screen. Completely different thing behind it. Back to the Mew Star, February 2024, $654. Today, $3,500. That is up 434%. Over that whole stretch, our tracking shows 0 sales a week. Here is the part that gives it away. We have 610 observations of this card. The price changed 20 times. That is about once a month. And it has not moved at all since the 20th of July. A 434% gain on a card nobody is buying. That reprices about as often as your rent is due. Now the trap that catches people looking this up themselves. Search Mew Star 101 of 101 and you get more than one result. The $3,500 card is the Delta species holofoil. There is also a Mew Star 101 of 101 from a World Championship deck. Same card number, $119. It has not tournament legal printed straight across the artwork and a signature reproduced on it. 29 times apart, and the only thing separating them is a set and a printing. Most listings do not put in the title. Umbreon X 112 of 115 does exactly the same thing. $500 from Unseen Forces, a fraction of that for the championship deck version. If you are not pinning the set and the printing, you are not pricing the card you think you are. The same illusion shows up at the other end of a card's life. Prismatic evolutions. Of the 22 cards in that set, we can measure properly. 16 move by more than 10 points, depending on whether you measure from release day or from a settled price a week later. The middle card moves about 16 points, the worst move far more, and 3 of them look like winners on release day pricing and are actually down. Release week prices are not lies exactly. They are just prices nobody has tested yet. It is not one card. Umbreon X from Unseen Forces, $500, 0 sales a week. Gengar Level X from Arceus, $448, and it sells about once a month. All 3 of these carry the same liquidity tag in our data. Thin. That is the tell. A big number with an empty order book behind it. Once you know to look for it, you see it everywhere in the high end. So here is the honest flip side, and I want to be careful about how far this goes. We hold liquidity data for a handful of cheap printings, commons and uncommons. That is a small sample, and I am not going to pretend it is the market. Inside it, the pattern is clean. 5 of those printings clear 600%, and they are only 4 distinct cards. Every one of them trades under 4 times a week. The best of them, a Kinchino, moves 3.7 copies a week. Now flip it around. Take only the cards that genuinely trade 30 or more sales a week. The best return in that group is a Fearow from Jungle at 338 sales a week on a $4 card. That is the trade. The enormous returns sit on cards you cannot exit. The returns you can actually realize are smaller, and they are real. One more thing, and it cuts against everything I just told you. Every price in this episode is an online marketplace price. Cards also change hands in person, at shows, and none of that reaches our data. Here is one touring series, 10 dates, 10 cities, between August and December. That is one every 14 days. And that is a single series. Local and regional shows run alongside it, and we have no reliable count of those. So when I say a card sells 0 copies a week, I mean zero that we can see. One rule. A price you cannot sell at is not a price. It is an asking price with nobody on the other side, so before the number, check the trade. How often does this card actually change hands? If the answer is basically never, you are not buying an asset. You are buying a listing. Comment Ghost, and I will show you how to check that in 10 seconds. And if a dead card at 3.5 grand looks like a trap, wait until you see the maths on sealed product. Most of the sets we can price lose money before you open the wrapper. That one is already up.